On this episode, Dude and Tyler drink their way through the entire Old Forester lineup, including a couple of barrel picks and the President's Choice. Find out what they think on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, do you like our podcast? Do you like bourbon gear? Visit our website at www.bourbonhunters.com to check out our bourbon shirts and to buy a Bourbon Hunter Kinsey dram. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Bourbon Hunters. I'm Jim Poole. I'm joined by Tyler Taylor. And today we have quite the lineup. We're doing the entire Old Forester offering, basically. I mean, we've got everything listed in front of us, except for the 117 series, I'd say, and birthday bourbon. Those are the only two we're missing. Yeah. But we've got the 86 proof, we've got the 100 proof, just the regular shelfers. Then we've got the Whiskey Row series in front of us. We've got a single barrel 100 proof, a single barrel barrel strength, and the President's Choice. Yeah.
You also had... Do you have the 117? Did you say that?
I have all of the 117 so far. Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't bring that out?
I mean, if you'd rather do that than the President's Choice, we can do that. But that's three more.
It's just three more.
It's just three more. Why don't we play it by ear and do President's Choice last, and if you want to do 117, I'll go grab it.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Wow. So what's going on, man? I know,
this is you have to start off. This is your birthday episode.
I mean, technically, the one that comes out this week is actually the 1792 episode.
Gotcha.
But this will be a week after my birthday. Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, my wife got me a couple bourbon, or actually old-fashioned books.
I like that.
Yeah, I've got them in there. I'll show them to you later. And then she got me a hand-painted painting of Banks and Bella.
I feel like Trina does pretty good, thoughtful gifts.
Generally, she does, yes. I think I've never been disappointed by her gifts. Yeah. Now, the one thing she always does is she doesn't plan ahead very well. So I almost always get a printout of one of my gifts. And so
it's
it's not here yet type of thing.
I'm classic for that.
So but you know what? I don't care. It's fine.
So Jillian is like the over planner to the point where it will be like 3 weeks before my birthday, and she'll be like, "Hey, I can't wait anymore. Here's your birthday gift."
Oh, if Trina had them in hand, she would do the same thing. Yeah, because her big thing is she'll talk about the gifts so much, like how she's worried about whether I'm going to like it, or how she's so excited about giving it to me, and I'm just like, we're still a month out. Yeah. Like, settle down. Like, I don't need to talk about it. Just give them to me on the day of. And I get she's excited about it. And I'm always questionable about my gifts. Trina is one of the worst people about receiving gifts. She cannot fake liking a gift for the life of her. So if I don't do well, it's immediately evident in her face. Yes. It is absolutely 100% known right away if she doesn't like a gift.
I will say, Jillian and I are pretty good with just getting each other the gifts that we want. We're like, hey, I want this. It's lame.
Yeah, Trina does. But my problem is I don't really... If I want something, I say it, but I generally don't want anything. Yeah. Because you know me. If I want something, I usually just buy it for myself. Yeah. Which is not fun for people shopping for me. And Trina does the same thing around her birthday. So, like, starting in November, her birthday's at the end of November, she'll start just shopping for herself.
I love that.
Like a birthday month type of thing. But like, the problem is it makes it hard for me to get her anything regular. Yeah. I have to, like, go above and beyond because the regular stuff she just buys for herself. It's absolutely infuriating. Yeah. Because then, like, that's even more pressure. I either completely swing and miss, or I do a really good job and knock it out of the park. Yeah. There's no in between. And it's because the little things that might save it a little bit if I do bad, she buys for herself. So I just don't even get the opportunity to potentially, buy those for her. So, yeah. Man, I feel so bad for Banks. He's limping around pretty hard.
I know. Well,
he just
let's
wants
get
to be
to
out
it.
here, though. Yeah, let's. So we've got 86 in the glass right now. The standard shelfer, what you see behind most bars if they have Old Forester. Sometimes they'll have the Whiskey Row series. Sometimes they'll have the 100 proof signature. But they almost always have 86 proof behind the bar, and they'll use that for making drinks. They'll, use it for a lot of different things. But what do you get on the nose with the regular standard proofer? And I feel like this is a watered down version of pretty much their entire taste profile. I feel like this one is a great intro to Old Forester because you're going to get all the tasting notes, but just none of the visceral type reaction.
It's to me, it's like this, like you said, the standard profile, and I guess I'll have to, we'll figure out if they all have this profile. But I feel like I thought that they had more of a dusty, nutty background to them.
You feel like they do?
Or Old Forester.
Oh, okay. To me, Old
Not
Forester
as much as
is the bananas. Like the bananas Foster, the banana. Yeah. There's almost always some sort of underlaying, note of banana. And I think where it disappears is as the proof goes up for me.
Yeah.
But I think where it gets a little tougher too is the Whiskey Row series because you've got a couple different things. The 1910 is that the one that's actually double barreled? And then the 1920 is, I can't remember which ones those are, right? Which help me out here. So which one's the 1910? Is that the double barrel?
I want to say it is, but.
And then the 1920, what was so special about that one? That's a little bit higher proof. And that one's actually just the one they did right into Prohibition. But then the 1897s, they're 100 proof. That's the, bottled and bond. And then the 90 proof, the 1870 is their original batch. So I think they kind of diverge a little bit from the standard profile somewhat on these just because of, the proof and the finish and all that type of stuff. But 86, 100, the 100 single barrels usually have some banana to them. And then I feel like the President's Choice has a dusty banana to it because it's a little bit older. It's like 9.5 years or something like that. And because they do heat cycled warehouses, their stuff's usually not that old. Mm-hmm. It just tends to, I guess, take on the wood a little bit earlier than, your typical.
It's almost like a Texas.
Well, not nearly as fast as that, but because Texas will stay hot for, months, they'll do a heat cycle and it'll go hot then cold, hot and cold. So they get the breathing a little bit faster, I feel like. So thanks, buddy. You just got to lay down, take a load off and relax.
What do you get on the palate?
On the palate, so with the nose, I definitely get a little bit of banana. On the palate, I get that too.
I almost get like a banana split.
Yeah.
But maybe not as bold.
Right. And again, we're used to high proof stuff, so the 86 is usually not super crazy. And it's almost just more of a pleasant, soft drinker, really.
Yeah.
And so all those flavors I feel like are just very, very soft on the palate. Nothing really jumps out at you.
Let's jump to the next. So this is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, it
is my recommendation
for pretty much anybody.
Anyone's like, hey, I'm going to the store. What's just a good bourbon to get? I'm like, this.
Well, I say the same thing. It's cheap.
That.
It's often available as a 750 and a handle. And then the other thing about it is it's just really, really good, and it's never mentioned.
Great proof.
It's never mentioned.
No.
Like, no one ever talks about this, but every time we put it in a blind, it goes to the finals almost every time.
If they redid that label and, this was the standard 100 offering, basically like that, instead of the single barrel, I think that they could sell it for $65.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. The one thing I'll say about Old Forester is their bottle game. When you get off their shelfers and you get to their Whiskey Row series or their single barrel program, their bottle game is outstanding.
Yeah,
those bottles are so nice.
Hefty.
Yeah, they're hefty, but they're a great shape. They're easy to pour from. They're easy to handle. They stick up.
Great.
Yeah, and they stick up on the shelf pretty well.
Yep.
The Old Forester 100. I think it's their budget bourbon, but it's just.
But also
so
just the labeling of it as well. It's really clear.
Yeah,
it's concise. You're not.
It's got that old timey look to it, like especially the Whiskey Row series. But the I guess the what do you call it when you have the contrast on the other ones, like the single barrels. The contrast on the labels is really, really pronounced. I think they do a good job with how simple the 100 signature is on the bottle. It's got some embossing, but it also has the white, black, and orange.
Yeah.
Which I think really, really just pops off the shelf. The problem is it's a little bit shorter and squattier than the Whiskey Row series.
But it is the most ideal cabin whiskey.
I mean, it's just good. It's all around.
If you were in the cabin in the woods, like that's kind of like the bottle you would expect to see sitting on the shelf,
Yeah, but it's good in drinks. It's good neat. It's good because it's 100 proof. You can even stand to put like a cube with it.
What do you get on the nose?
So this one, I think
is more
banana.
Foster too.
I agree. So I get a lot of banana on this one.
Caramelized sugar.
And I think to me, Old Forester.
Ooh, vanilla extract on the nose.
Old Forester shines at 100 proof.
Yeah.
Anything around 100 proof. So like, when you get up into the high like 130s and the high 120s of like the barrel strengths, I don't think it does as well.
No.
I mean, you can water it down a little bit and it tastes amazing, but it's just not where it's made to shine. 115 on the 1920 is really good. But the 93 of the 1910, the 93 proof, and the 100 proof of the signature is just phenomenal. And then anytime I get a single barrel Old Forester that's 100 proof, I just have to snag it up. Or, I never not order the 100 proofers.
Sure.
To be fair, I never not order the barrel strengths too. But
great point. But also, they're easier to pass on. Especially if you see them at a little bit higher of a price, you're like, ugh.
To me, they're not, because once I get them, if it's too hot, I can just add a little bit of water, and they almost every time I've never
they drink well on the rocks.
Yeah, well on the rocks, but also just add a little bit of water, and it immediately opens up if it's too hot.
Yeah,
and it just changes the whole profile. Like there's good stuff in every one of their bottles. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes that proof just overwhelms the subtle flavors that come out of these bottles. But yeah, I agree. Vanilla, orange, and banana, I think, are the three that I really get.
The palate has a lot going on for such a cheap bourbon.
Yeah,
it's long lasting. It
has a good finish.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good on the front side. It coats the mouth well.
Nose as
well.
I love Old Forester 100, and I think we're pretty much Old Forester 100 proof homers.
And the proof is just spot on.
It's spot on. It's perfect. And whatever they do for this one, I think this is, like you said, if people can handle 100 proof bourbon, this is what I steer people toward. If they're not super, educated in bourbon or super experienced in bourbon, I'll start people off with an Old Forester. Sometimes I'll send them to like a Woodford Double Oaked or something like that. But there's just something about the Old Forester 100 proof that just really, every time I have it, it just surprises me. It's almost like I forget how good it is every time
100%.
I start to drink it. And it just blows me away.
Yeah.
So, as you can tell, we highly recommend the Old Forester 100.
Absolutely.
And that's the black and orange. That's not a special, bottled and bond. It's just 100 proof.
$22.
And it's like, $22, $23, something like that. Yep. And then I think the 1.75 is, I think, $44.
Yeah.
So it's just good. I don't understand.
It's seriously, and one of our favorite things to do with this is blind it with a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Sneak it in there for different things.
You can almost bet anytime we do a blind.
It's one of our favorites.
It's one of the ones we throw in there just to mess with people because it's always so good and it's just so cheap.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. I've had it so many times, and every time I drink it, I forget how much I like it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What do we got next?
Yeah, I think 1870, right? So we'll start into the Whiskey Row series, go to the 1870.
So what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, we just had the Arnold a couple weeks ago.
Yep. They just kind of just almost winding down from that.
Yeah. And then we had St. Patty's Day. We had a whole bunch of birthdays at the gym. We had mine, Dan's, Rachel's. There's just a whole bunch of birthdays right in March. And I think it goes back to, June is when that's happening. And that's when everyone starts, wearing less and less clothes. And I think people start getting frisky and, beach stuff, party stuff, late nights, things like that. I think it just leads to March birthdays. And you just had a birth that you...
I did.
Yeah, so you probably had a nice little June...
2 weeks old today.
Yeah.
2 weeks old.
So you probably had a little June conception as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And what I always loved about my birthday is I shared that with my grandmother.
Yeah.
We both had March 20th as our birthdays, and she always said that I was her birthday gift. So
that's
not to
awesome.
say that I was her favorite, but I think I was her favorite.
Yes.
But no, she and I had the same birthday, and we'd always, when she was alive, we would always talk on our birthday and stuff like that. She'd always send me that, grandmother $5 check.
The best.
You ever see the Seinfeld episode?
Well,
where he's getting all the checks from his grandma, and he never cashes them, and then someone tells him that you need to cash them. That's just mean. So he goes and cashes them all at once, and her checking account bounces, and so she has to go all the way down to I think she gets mobbed. I think she gets not mobbed, mugged on the way down there or something like that.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. But anyway, so you got your 1870 in there?
I do.
All right, let's nose it. What do you think?
It's sweeter on the nose.
I keep accidentally pouring way too much, especially with how many we have.
Yeah.
That's not too bad, but still. Yeah, so this is if you aren't familiar with the Whiskey Row series, we have an episode about it. We've actually released that episode twice.
Yeah.
Because of how popular it was. But if you're really interested in the Whiskey Row series, go back and listen to that episode. Basically, it was the invention of Old Forester to release the Whiskey Row series to tell the history of their distillery throughout the years by producing batches around that time. So like the 1870 is their original batch. So that's supposed to be like what they were, batching back in 1870. Mm-hmm. Then they've got the 1897, which is basically their homage. They pay homage to the Bottled and Bond, act that passed that year. And then they've got the 1910 and the 1920, even though those were released in opposite order. 1920 came out first.
That's their Prohibition.
Yeah, that's their Prohibition release. And the 1910 is their release where I think they double-barreled because there was like a fire on Whiskey Row or something like that. And then they ended up with an accidental, double barrel type action where they, had a good result from it. Mm-hmm. So, but the 1870, I agree. Nose, this is a 90 proofer. So we're backing down a little bit from proof. And we're going to do that a couple times throughout this, but, we back down a little bit to 90 proof.
Strawberry nose.
And there's something fruity. I still get bananas. I don't know why, but I still get bananas. I'm sure it's their mash bill, but, it is a sweet nose for sure.
I'll have to come back to. That's a good one to come back to.
Yeah. But on the taste, it's a soft drinker, not in a bad way. So I feel like this is almost like the average.
It's 90 proof.
Yeah, this is almost like the average between the 100 that we already had and the 86 that we started with. I mean, I know it's closer to the 86, but it comes off soft.
Sure.
It doesn't have a long finish. I feel like, if you want to try out Old Forester, I don't recommend this because I think it's like $50 or $55. Yeah. I'd recommend the 86 or the 100. But this is a good, if you don't mind spending the money, this is a good entry to the taste profile of Old Forester, I think, because it is soft. It doesn't have a crazy long finish, but it does hit a lot of those same notes. I feel like I'm getting, the fruitiness of the other two. On the nose and on the palate, but just not a super long finish. It's a soft finish, and I think people starting out would enjoy that. They may not enjoy the price tag of this Whiskey Row one, but definitely the flavor I think would be less shocking, I guess.
Yeah.
It's good though. I mean, I don't know that there's anything on the Old Forester offerings outside of the Statesman that I dislike. And I don't even dislike the Statesman. It's just my least favorite of everything Old Forester puts out. And I don't know why. I don't know what's so different about it. It might just be that proof point for that mash bill, or it might be a little bit of a different mash bill. I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just know that every time I have it, I'm a little disappointed. But again, if it's the only thing I drank that night, I'm sure I'd be fine with it.
Sure.
But I'm never drawn to it when I go into my bourbon room. I see it sitting there and I just never drink it.
1870, right?
The Statesman.
Yeah.
1870 is fine.
The Statesman, it's like a hit or miss for me. I've had it. Sometimes I'm like, ugh.
My palate's going to make a difference on it, but like I feel like Old Forester overpowers whatever I've done throughout the day to my palate.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm ever disappointed in Old Forester, even if I've had like Italian or garlic or something like that, which is a known palate destroyer, you know. Yeah. I'll still have Old Forester and be fine. In fact, when I go to have Italian, if I'm going to have whiskey, if it's not going to be an old fashioned, I generally get an Old Forester when I go to have Italian.
100%.
So, yeah, I'd say the 1870 is good. I still like the 100 proof better.
Okay.
And it's funny because the 1870 starts that Whiskey Row series, like I said, and it ends up being, I think, $55. But the Old Forester 100 proof is still better, in my opinion. What do you think between the two?
Oh, the 100 proof, hands down. Yeah.
For me, it's hard to beat the 100 proof because, like I said, I mean, for the price, and I generally don't think about it. You know, when we do the blinds, we don't think about the price. We're just doing flavor only, basically, and nosing and stuff. But for the price, the Old Forester just punches out of its weight class heavily.
Always.
Because it's so cheap, and it's just good. I mean, I'm sure there's people that just don't like Old Forester, and so if that's the case, then that's not going to be for you. But I mean, if you like Old Forester at all, it's absolutely ridiculous. 1897, bottled and bond. Yep. This is Whiskey Row series. Entry number 2, if you will, in the chronological order of the history of Old Forester.
100 proof.
Yep, bottled and bond. So has to be at least 4 years old. Has to be 100 proof. Has to be distilled from the same season. So it can't be a mixture of multiple seasons. It has to be the same season. It has to be the same distiller, and can't be a mixture of distilleries either. And technically, it's supposed to sit in a bonded warehouse, so like supposedly locked and checked up on by the federal government and stuff like that, as part of the Bottled and Bond Act. Yeah, the nose is outstanding, very very fruity.
Love it.
And obviously you're hearing fruity a lot from everything we're tasting right now, but that's just part of, I think, the Old Forester. It's not a youthful like floweriness or floral. They're all, from a nosing perspective, I never get much corn from these. Do you?
No, not at all.
And I think that's probably the heat cycled warehouse that kind of slowly removes that corn, corny flavor to it. But I'll tell you what, man, this has a really, really fruity note to it.
So it's funny. I think the palate is the opposite of it.
Yeah. So I think if I remember when we did the Whiskey Row series with Tyler, with Brett, I'm pretty sure this was his least favorite.
Yeah. So this one,
it might have been 1870. But
you might get some fruit, but it's definitely on the tarty side.
Okay. Let me take a taste here.
If at all. But I will say the proof shines. The proof absolutely shines.
I see what you're saying with the tardiness.
Like it's not
meaning it's late, but
maybe it's a little dry.
It's full of tartness. Yeah. I think it's still good.
Sure.
But I could see where someone, if you're a big Old Forester fan, where someone might not like this. I could see that.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have that same. But if all these were exactly the same, then why would you do them?
Yeah, 100%.
They need to be a little bit different, and potentially expand the reach of the Old Forester, fans. So I think it makes sense that this is going to be a little bit different. But the nose on it, very fruitful, very, and I don't even know what the fruits are, to be honest. There's obviously like a little bit of banana there, but I think that's true of everything Old Forester for the most part.
Going back to the nose, I can't really tell.
I know I can't put my finger on what the nose is for me, but there's definitely some banana there, and it might be like banana with some vanilla. It might be
or like blackberries, maybe.
That could be. Yeah, there's something else underlying there that's kind of complementing the banana.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the nose, whatever it is, it's really nice. And you're right though, like what you get from the flavor isn't exactly matching the nose on this. So this is the first one that we've tasted where I don't feel like the nose and the palate match up exactly.
100%.
But still good. If you had to rate the first 4 that we've had so far, how would you rate them? This your least favorite? Or would you say the 86 is?
No, I'm going to say it's got the proof shines on this, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's what I was
the 86 was the worst.
But still good.
Yeah.
Just soft.
This, and then 1870, and then Old Forester.
I think because of how soft the finish was in the original batch, I'm going to rank the 86 in the original batch 3 and 4 so far. Okay. And I'm going to put the 1897 at a distant number 2 from the Old Forester 100 signature.
Yeah.
So that's still my number 1. 1897, I mean, they're all good. But again, for different reasons. 86 and the 1870 are, I feel like, just a little too soft for my palate because I like a nice finish, and neither one of those have a nice long finish. They're soft. I can understand what they're trying to accomplish with those. Maybe bring in, new whiskey drinkers. If you're a fan of the 86, you'd probably like the original batch 1870 the best.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. If you like the 100 signature, then I'd say that you're probably going to like, maybe the 1920 the best, but we'll get to that when we get there. So let's talk about the 1910. Open that one up. I don't even think it's opened yet because I finished my last one.
Let me give it a little rinse.
You rinse, I'll open. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Cash me outside. All right, so the next one we're going to do in chronological order is the 1910. And so this is the one that's labeled Old Fine Whiskey with a blue, ink. And it says, in 1910, Owsley Brown crafted his personal stock of Old Forester Old Fine Whiskey at 117 West Main Street on Louisville's Whiskey Row. Our Old Forester 1910 Old Fine Whiskey is barrel finished using Brown's exact process. So it is barrel finished. Now they finish it. It is barrel finished, but it's finished with new oak barrels. So it's basically a twice barreled. Think about the double oaked from Woodford Reserve, something like that. But I will say, before we even get into this is one of my favorites that they have.
It is.
It's 93 proof, so it hits a little lower than some of the ones we've had so far.
But not quite the lowest.
But not the lowest. It's above the 86 and the 90. But there's something about, I think, the second barreling. You can just look at the color of it. It's darker. So that second barreling definitely played a part on the flavor of this. But I'll tell you one thing that usually jumps out at me on this is there's an additional nose on this that you don't get from anything else from Old Forester.
Yeah.
And to me, this is almost like dessert in a bottle. I get some chocolate. So this one, you talked about a banana split before.
Yeah.
I think this is similar to that in the sense that I get some chocolate. There's some underlying. Banana's not the forefront in this one. There's almost like maybe some leather and some maybe tobacco. But I think for me, I get a little bit of chocolate in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I get the banana. But it's I'm definitely getting some oak. I'm getting some wood from it. in the form of like tobacco, I think, and maybe a little bit of that oakiness too. But like, I don't know what you get. What? How's your nose on this one?
I 100% agree on the oaky side.
Do you get the chocolate on the nose at all?
100. Yep.
Okay.
But it's like a cocoa powder.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like milk chocolate. Not even.
Yeah.
Like, and
or dark
generally
chocolate.
speaking, when I say chocolate, it's either like a cacao, like dark chocolate, or a cocoa powder.
Yeah.
And this one I'd say is like a cocoa powder type of chocolate.
Ooh, the palate though.
The palate's ridiculous.
Palate's ridiculous.
I will say this is the one that it's $55, $60, something like that.
I think
so this is probably one of my favorites.
I might like this better than the 100,
but
just because it's a little bit.
It's just almost 3 times the price. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Then when you put the price next to it, you're like, I would need to blind this.
Yeah, price adjusted, I'd say the 100 proof. But I think the 1910, like this one has Trina's tramp stamp of approval.
Yeah.
This one is she loves this. So like when we went to
Ooh, go back. That's an orange sickle on the nose. Go back to the nose.
Orange sickle. Oh yeah, I can get that. Not nearly. I wouldn't say orange sickle, but there's definitely hints of orange and like cream. Like
this is like a chocolate dipped mandarin orange.
There you go, chocolate dipped. That's good. I like that. That's pretty accurate. I like that.
Chocolate dipped mandarin orange.
But I got this when Trina and I went to Louder Than Life. I've told the story on the podcast a few times. We went to Louder Than Life. We got a hotel in Louisville.
Yeah.
While she was getting ready on the first day, I just decided to run over to Old Forester to pick up a bottle of 1910. And when I got there, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And so some places still had their COVID protocols going on. I get there and there's a little bit of a line out front. And I was like 4th or 5th in line. And so I'm like, what the hell? They limiting how many people can go in the gift shop, and it's that busy on a Thursday morning?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, what's going on is, limiting how many people are going in. They're like, no, we're releasing President's Choice here in about 10 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I remember texting you, and you're just like, I hope you don't get it. I'm like 5th in line, dick.
Yeah.
And it's the funny thing is by the time they started letting us in, which was only like maybe 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
The line was all the way down and around the block.
Really?
Yes.
So people piled in quickly.
Oh, super quickly. It was almost like as soon as someone found out, the word got out and all the locals showed up immediately in mass. It was crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
And I just happened to just stumble upon it. Yeah, it was just stupid dumb luck.
Yeah.
Stupid dumb luck. And when you got in there, they already had them bagged up to just save you time. And I bought the 1910 for the weekend.
Don't you actually love that, though? There's something obviously nostalgic about picking your bottle off of a shelf.
Right, versus...
Like when you go to Buffalo Trace.
I don't care about that. Because to me, even if I would have picked it up off the shelf, the story would have still been me just blind luck stumbling upon.
Yes.
So I wouldn't have... That didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Because I went there fully expecting just to grab... That they would have nothing there special, and that I would just walk out with a 1910 that I would drink over the weekend for Louder Than Life. That was my expectation. And so I kept that 1910 in my trunk all weekend long. And when we got to the parking lot, we would just tailgate. She drank some of that. She actually really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So that's what I mean by it's got that tramp stamp of approval. She likes that. It's easily one of my favorites of the Old Forester lineup.
Nice.
Of all of the Old Forester lineup.
Have you had any good food lately? Any good new food?
So went to Mezzo on Saturday.
Okay,
Mezzo's pretty good. Have you been there?
Nope.
So it's an Italian restaurant. It's more of a fancy Italian restaurant.
Is that in Old Dublin?
Mm-hmm.
The old side of the river?
It's right beside like Tucci's and all that stuff. It's right there. It's right across the street from Ginny's.
Yeah.
So yes, I had some Mezzo.
Have you? What's the Asian restaurant that's right there?
I can never remember. Oh,
that was good too.
J. Lou up
yeah.
the street.
Yeah, I thought that.
And
that
they
was
used
good
to have
too.
a great buffet on Sundays.
Ooh.
Great buffet, and it was a mixture of Asian and Italian and a whole bunch of things.
J. Lou's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Their brunch buffet was phenomenal on Sundays. It's pricey. It's like $50 a person, maybe 40. I'd have to think about it, but it's expensive. So like, it's not somewhere you take the kids with you, and if they're expecting to eat as well. Like your kids probably fine because you're going to feed them from bottles most likely. But like when our kids were with us, we wouldn't go there. It was too expensive. Special occasion, maybe. I think we went there for an Easter one time. But anyway, went to Mezzo. I got the braised short rib gnocchi. It was phenomenal.
I fucking love gnocchi.
Oh, me too. That and risotto. When risotto is done well, risotto is freaking ridiculous.
A lobster risotto or a truffle.
There's a mushroom risotto, a mushroom truffle risotto at the service bar down at Middle West Spirits that it will just freaking knock your socks off. I'm not kidding.
I love that.
It is so good. Yeah. When I was there with Taste TSR, we went there, had a drink and had dinner, and Middle West Spirits basically just hosted us. Because the next day they were doing a barrel tasting, a barrel pick. And that was the night before the Indiana game at Ohio State, and I had tickets to that. They offered for me to come do the tasting with them, and I was kind of mad because I knew we were going to kill Indiana, and we did. But I think it was like 63-10 or something stupid like that. And it was like crazy cold and snowing. It was like 60 degrees the day before, and then snowing the next day.
Yeah.
And they were like heckling me, texting me while they're doing the tasting, like, I bet you wish you came here now, like, I'm like, yes, assholes, I get it. But yeah, it was,
that was good.
That risotto was really good too.
What other?
But the mezzo
was good. What else have you had?
Well, let's see.
101 Beer Kitchen.
I always go to Oscars.
Oscars, where's that?
It's right beside, it's right across the street from Tucci's.
Okay.
That's always good. I like they have a turkey, angel hair pasta turkey meatball thing. So like if we're trying to watch our macros, we'll do that. They also have a ribs meal that is decently cheap but really good.
Nice.
And we always go to the Pearl. Went to Cap City for my birthday yesterday.
Ooh.
Had a Philly cheesesteak, and then they give you a free dessert.
Ooh.
So I got the carrot cake, which is so good there. I'm not a huge carrot cake fan, but Cameron Mitchell, all the restaurants do carrot cake very well. Came back and Trina had bought me a cookie cake. I'm not a cake.
Cookie
cake is where it's at.
I'd put down one of those cookie cakes.
There's some more upstairs if you want some after we're done. You can finish off the wings with some cookie cake. Yeah.
We have an absurd amount of wings to eat, by the way.
Yes. How many did you buy? Did you get more than 40?
I think I got a 45.
All right, that's fair. I said 40, so that's reasonable. So
we'll have to put
we already did the 1910, right? And you've got the 1920 in your glass. I've got a pour to catch up. And after this, we'll only have three left. Unless we decide to do some fucking 117.
While we nose and taste this, I've had Bendy Walk, which is in German Village. It's
you were talking about that on our thread. Yeah. You like that?
Just incredible. Some of the best. I'm a big egg roll guy.
Yeah.
And some of the best egg rolls I've ever had.
Really?
Yes.
And where is that?
It's in German Village. It's right across from Nationwide Children's. Basically.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of that area, have you ever been to there's a restaurant right by
Lindy's?
Yes, Wendy's.
Lindy's.
No, not Lindy's. I don't think it's Lindy's.
Lindy's
Is that a hole in the wall?
No.
Okay. No. Then not Lindy's. It's like 2 or 3 blocks south of the hospital.
There's also a Venezuelan place down there that was incredible as well.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Trina and I have gone there. We went there on our anniversary. We love that place. I'm trying to remember what the place is called now. But we just love.
Ooh, that's a good palate.
Yeah. What do you get on the nose?
It was a little dusty and dry and just like bland.
Okay.
But it makes sense when you go to the palate. It is definitely a dry, dusty taste to it.
Sycamore. Have you ever been to the Sycamore?
No.
Outstanding.
But I've heard it's really good.
Outstanding.
Also, Chapman's. I've never been there,
been there.
I think we have reservations coming up.
So you think this is a little dusty on the palate, but not on the nose?
Maybe on both. Maybe on both.
It's a little dusty on the nose. The 1920. Yeah. So this is 115 proof. The 1910 we did before was 93 proof.
Yeah.
This one, I will say, the one thing I like about the 1920 is I don't feel like it presents itself as a 115 proof.
No, not at all.
Now,
you feel like you're barely jumping from the 100 to the...
Yeah. And I think the oak of the 1910 really makes it punch stronger than it is.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing, we can't do the 1910 and the 1920 without talking about the 1915. So Correct. Lots of people take the 1920 and they'll do a 50-50 mix-up between the 1920 and the 1910, and they'll create what they call a 1915.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with the Whiskey Row or Old Forester as far as like, telling a story about Old Forester. It's just them doing math. Half and half, 1920, 1910 equals 1915. And people will do that mixture, and it's actually really good. Have you ever done it?
No.
It's become so popular that people have actually made labels. They have gone to Photoshop to make labels that look like Old Forester 1910, 1920, but it says 1915 on it.
Yeah.
And they'll
That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Like, people just have way too much time on their hands. But they'll take an Old Forester bottle, they'll mix them together, and then they'll pour them back in the Old Forester bottle, and will relabel them with a 1915 label. It's just funny. But that's good too if you've ever had it.
I've not done that.
So and it doesn't have to be exact, but if you get a chance sometime and you have a 1910 and a 1920 sitting at home, just do a little, pour it by eye, and do a little half and half. A 1910 and a 1920 mixed to be a 1915 is actually pretty good. And maybe we do that instead of the President's Choice. I don't know. I don't care.
We'll see.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is a
While
good
I
nose.
liked it, I don't know. I definitely think that the 1910 is better, and I think the regular Signature 100 is better.
You think the Signature 100 is better than the 1920?
I think so, yeah. Just
Okay.
a better profile to me.
So we've done 6 so far. And let's go ahead and stop here and rank them. Because the next 3 are either ones you're never going to get a hold of, or they're ones that are single barrels that you're never going to get a hold of. So they stand alone from the standard Old Forester. So like all the ones that we've done so far, you will have the opportunity to buy if you want to.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So I'm going to go the 1910. I think
number 1.
Yeah, it's a little bit more consistent. It's a little bit more refined.
Yeah, there's something extra to it, I think. It's got a lot of the Old Forester notes, but it's got like a little bit more oak. It's got...
Yeah, but it's also clean. You got the oak on the nose.
Finish.
Yeah.
And for being only 93 proof, it actually finishes really well. Like I said, I feel like it punches above its weight class.
Yeah. So then I want to go Signature 100.
Okay. Sure.
Especially for the price. Mm-hmm. That honestly might be, that's interchangeable with 1910 as far as value.
Price and value, for sure.
I think value, even the Signature 100 is probably the
if
choice.
Someone were giving you, let's just take value out of this, and just someone gives you all these bottles. I think the 1910 for sure.
Then from there, I'm going to go 1920, then the 1870, then the 1897, and then the 86 proof. I think that's my order.
Okay. I don't remember how I ordered them before, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say 1910 as well. Signature 100, then 1920, and then whatever I said before that.
Okay.
Do you remember what I said before that? I know you don't.
1870, and then I think you also agreed that 1897.
No, I think I went to the 1897 next.
Okay.
Because it was a better finish.
Sure.
I had 1897, or I'm sorry, I had 1870 and 86 finishing like back to back, remember?
So to do these next 3 bottles in this order, I think it only does it justice to do the President's first.
Because it's lower proof?
Well, it's also more sought after, and we've had a number of different drinks.
People
so
could
I want
have
to.
that. It's different year to year too, though. So each President's Choice, they're not batching it like they do the 100 proof or any of the ones we've done up to this point. They're all batched. Up to this point, they're all batched.
Yep.
President's Choice. I don't know that it's single barrel because I don't think it is. I think it's batched, but it's a limited number of barrels to produce a flavor. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so like what it says on here, there's handwritten stuff on it. It says the President's Choice for the distinguished whiskey drinker. And it's also, this one says it's barrel number 21. So it is a single barrel.
Okay.
But this one says this is a selection aged 9 summers. So it may not be a full 9 years.
Yeah.
But it's at least 9 summers. And it's 48.15% ABV, which would be 96.3 from a proof perspective.
Sure.
Which is right up there. It's above the 1910. It's above the 1870. It's right near the 100 proof, obviously. So let's go ahead and taste this. What I remember about this is it's a little bit... I'm going to do a fresh glass for this one, actually.
I don't have one, but...
Oh, you used yours. I've got one right there.
That's all right.
All right, you already poured.
Yeah. Great.
What I remember about this is it does have a little bit of an older, oakier type of flavor, but I haven't nosed it yet.
It's a very sweet nose, very sugary.
I feel like the nose. I feel like the nose is very, very, very Old Forester.
Yeah.
But pound cake's a good descriptor. I like that
because it's a little lighter.
It is a little lighter. Yeah. It's got like a sugary, lighter
vanilla burst note.
Yeah, but there's
vanilla
still
cake
that.
Note,
but that banana's still underlying. Yeah. The typical banana note that you get on a lot of Old Forester and even like Jack Daniel's, because they're the same, basically distillery, mash bill company, whatever you want to call it. I think, this is. You're right. Pound cake's a good one. Fruity, definitely banana on the banana is a major contributor to the nose for me. Did you already taste this? No answer. Did you already taste this?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think?
I need a second one.
Yeah.
I definitely get a longer hug on this for sure.
So, and I think you're going to get a lot more oak as well. It's older. It's probably almost twice as old as a lot of the stuff you drink from Old Forester.
And it definitely shows, but it's not overpowering. The proof is okay. What's the proof on this?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely... This is crazy. It's 96.3.
Oh, it does not... It drinks like 110.
You think so?
Yeah.
Here's my take real quick. I've had this multiple times, and it's made different impressions on me every time.
Yeah.
First time I ever had it, I was like still probably in the afterglow of getting it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I still feel that way. It's really good.
Yeah.
But I'll say that I taste all of the notes of the Old Forester 100 with a nice oaky, tannic kind of back end.
Sure.
So it's got the finish isn't even as strong as the 100, I don't think. But it's a good finish. But as it travels through the tongue to the throat, I get a little bit of an oaky back end, and then it kind of bursts a little bit more oaky to the back of the tongue, and then there's like a little bit of a tannic flavor to it, but then it doesn't disappear on the finish, but the finish isn't as strong as the 100.
Sure.
But the oak definitely makes a presence. I think the fact that it's twice as old as and maybe not twice as old, but at least a third older.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good.
I'm glad I have this. It's already half gone. It's probably more than half gone, to be fair.
So another foodie question.
Yeah.
This was an argument with my friends. Not really an argument, but more of a discussion.
Your friends from Michigan?
What food group has the lowest floor? Or the highest floor? The highest floor.
Wait, the highest floor? You mean
no matter where you're getting it?
Pizza.
You think pizza?
There's the saying for a reason that pizza's like sex, right?
It's never bad.
It doesn't matter how bad it is, it's still good.
Yeah. Doesn't matter where you're getting it, it's good.
I don't know about that.
So like even you think like Little Caesars still phenomenal.
I
DiGiorno pizza.
Let's not throw the word phenomenal in there.
But it's got the highest floor.
Yeah, it's at the highest floor. So Little Caesars, I'll eat it and I'll enjoy it.
Okay.
Even I generally enjoy bad pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. A hot and sleazy, $5.
Hot and sleazy.
Yes, we call them hot and sleazies.
Fair enough. That tracks.
Yeah, $5. At least when I was in school,
I think they're still $5.
As a college kid, you could not get a better value meal.
It's like a sore
$5
penis,
for a fucking large pepperoni pizza.
Yeah,
that would at least if you smash that entire pizza. Holy fucking shit! Even the drunkest or highest you've ever been, that's still impressive. Yeah. But at minimum, you have 2 meals. You have dinner that night, lunch the next day, whatever, for fucking $5.
Or cold pizza for breakfast.
For $5.
No, listen. So am I? Are you in agreement? What's your highest floor? If it's not pizza, what would it be?
I mean, to me, pizza also doesn't stand out. Like, I've had some really good pizzas, and I'm like,
it has the lowest ceiling as well.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I could get that. I could get that.
Like, steak has a high
so the variant,
floor.
Right? Yes.
High floor.
A high ceiling, you mean?
Yes, high ceiling.
It could have a very low floor, though.
Sure.
Tough, like not cooked well, whatever. Yeah. Not seasoned well.
I think we're putting this. So my buddy said.
I agree. I think we're in the right.
So my buddy said Thai food. And I said.
The lowest or the highest floor?
Basically,
he's basically saying he likes all Thai food.
Yes, no matter where it's coming from. And I said not Thai, I said Chinese. I could go to the fucking food court. And Chinese, there is
right Panda Express, Golden Chopsticks.
That's impeccable.
That would be a close second.
That's like pizza.
That's a close second to pizza.
I almost enjoy Chinese more when it is shittier. The shittier Chinese is, I want to question whether or not I'm going to fucking be on the toilet that night.
Okay, so here's a hot take. You ready for this?
But not Thai. No, Thai to me,
I'm right there with you.
It has to be a higher quality.
Here's a hot take. You ready for this?
Sure. This is the good stuff. This is the meat.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
The potatoes.
Here's my hot take. So, pizza, we already established, when it's bad, it's still good. Yeah. Right? Chinese food, I consider to be like Mexican food. High-end Chinese and high-end Mexican, there's no place for it. There's no place for it.
What's the high-end Chinese place in Polaris?
Oh, Molly Woo's?
Molly Woo's.
Like, yeah, that's a Cameron Mitchell restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. You go in there, you have a good meal, but you're like,
right. But why did I spend this much money?
Yeah.
Same with good Mexican food, in my opinion.
I just got an 8.5 when the local place was at 8.3. You're like,
yes, you can have a good Mexican meal. You can have a good Chinese meal for cheap.
Very cheap.
And then you go and you spend a shit ton of money and you have maybe a little bit better, a little more creative something. Yeah, but it's not worth the price.
Never.
Ever. So is that a hot take or do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it could still be a hot take for some people.
I personally would put Chinese just slightly above because things like the rice.
Above Mexican?
Yes. Like the rice, I'm going to take the rice, but...
I'd be the other way around. Actually, no, that's not true.
But chips and cheese, you also get that.
I'm not the other way around.
But I'm egg rolls.
I'm further away from what you're saying. Mexican food, I think, is so much better when you go to like a food truck.
Yes.
Or when you go to just a hole-in-the-wall Mexican restaurant and you're getting authentic food for cheap. Yeah. Like, authentic Mexican is so underrated.
Oh, of course.
So underrated. And here's the thing.
I made some
Chinese food in the United States, it is hard to find authentic Chinese food in the United States. I think you almost have to go to like a Chinatown or somewhere like that in like San Francisco or other places that have like New York or something like that.
One of the best Mexican places I've ever been up in Detroit in the ghetto, it's called Mexican Town, was Xochimilco's, and it was incredible. And it's not like a high-end place. It's average prices, but it's like...
They shouldn't be.
Yes.
And it's funny because I feel like you pay more for Americanized Mexican than you do for authentic Mexican, and authentic Mexican is far and away better.
It's fucking
far and away better. Far and away better. And it might be sloppier. It might look worse on a plate, but it just tastes better.
Man,
am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, good fucking corn tortillas, toasted.
Corn tortillas,
tacos as well.
Corn tortillas are the dirty little secret to all Mexican. Flour tortillas suck.
So did I tell you
tortillas suck.
that they do. And did I tell you my recent halfway authentic tacos that I made that were just like the best tacos I've ever had, but I've ever made?
You haven't told me about this. So let's talk about it.
Aldi has their...
While he's talking about this, I'm going to introduce our next one. We are now moving on to our single barrel 100 proof. This is a Bourbon Enthusiast pick. I think the next one is also a Bourbon Enthusiast pick. Does it say mash and grape on it?
Correct. No, it's Bourbon Enthusiast.
But I mean, the label down below does say
correct.
Mash. Oh, yeah. So Bourbon Enthusiast. Okay. So go ahead, Aldi.
Aldi has not carne asada, but it's the same thing in a way. Carne picada, which is it's better for stew.
Yeah.
But it's basically diced up.
Sure.
Ground beef without being ground.
Right.
You know, or not ground beef.
It's as close.
It's beef.
Yes.
Yeah. It's got good fat
as close
content.
to ground beef as it can be without being ground beef. Yeah.
I did it in the pan, which I think it'd be better on a flat top, more surface area, a little bit higher heat.
And you just brown the outside of it first.
Yes, but I just did your traditional taco seasoning, but I didn't do them in there with it. I actually pulled it out with a light coating of oil and mixed it in there. I put that back in the refrigerator for an hour.
All the difference.
And let it basically
meld into the.
And then
I do the same thing with my chili. I know it's not exactly the same, but I'll make my chili. So like if we're having a chili cook-off on Saturday, I'll make my chili on Friday.
Yeah.
I'll make my brisket. I'll get it to, temperature. I won't finish the brisket.
Sure.
I'll get it to the point where you normally take it out and wrap it.
Yeah.
And then I pull the brisket off. I cube it basically, put it into the chili,
yeah.
Cook the chili till about 8 or 9 that night. Yeah. And then I take it off the heat, put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
And let it sit in the fridge for like...
Never cook it that day for chili.
No.
Never.
You reheat it. And
yes, but it's
the tomatoes and everything
yes.
that you use in your chili, it just... The enzymes and everything, it breaks down the meat and it just adds to the flavor. And so that extra day or 12 hours or 14 hours or whatever... Oh, yeah.
But as long as you... So
I'll do that. But then on Sunday, it even tastes better.
Yeah.
Even better.
So for the most part, all meat that I have, I will bring out and bring to room temperature. And also...
That's a huge point that most people don't do.
Yes. If you're cooking steak, and beef just in general, for an even cook, you have to bring it to room temperature.
Yeah.
That's one of the most key things you can do for fucking cooking your meat.
100%.
But also if you do a dry brine on your meat, that usually pulls, excess moisture out as well.
Yeah. Right.
So that's always good. Patting it dry. But anyway, so I cooked this meat. I doubled up corn tortillas with a little light oil in the pan, toasted them up, but I also had the queso blanco. So it's, the crumbly white cheese.
Right.
Put that in there, put some diced white onions, and also...
Stop being so damn animated. You're like shaking the whole room.
I know. And then I had a green verde sauce, and then I mixed...
Did you just say green sauce?
No, green verde sauce. It's a salsa verde.
Doesn't verde mean green?
Yes.
Green sauce. Green
sauce. A verde sauce. But then I had Cholula with sour cream, mix those together, that over top. It was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And that is as unauthentic as I can do at home.
That's not, let's be fair.
Because the verde sauce was actually, it was a cilantro lime verde sauce.
But you know what? Let's be fair.
So good.
If you're making it at home, it's already decently authentic to begin with.
Sure.
Let's be fair about that. Outside of like stoning your own tortillas and shit like that, you're doing a good job. Yeah. And you're using corn tortillas, not flour.
Let's get on the nose here. We're down to our last two.
So we've got a single barrel, 100 proof. This is from Bourbon Enthusiast.
It could be the 6 I had before this. The nose is more traditional brown
Old
sugar.
Forester, brown sugar. Oh, bourbon, you mean?
Yes.
Traditional. Okay, let me nose it and see what I think. I get the brown sugar, but I still get banana. I mean, I'm still getting banana.
Oh, fuck.
This is the one that I got for you.
I wish.
This is the bottle I got for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to put this. If we haven't already done this, we need to put.
This is good, and it's got a little bit of a dusty finish to it.
We need to blind this with Old Forester 100, with 1910, and President's Choice, or 117. Blind those
right now. Let's do it now.
No. We'd be calling an ambulance.
Yeah.
There definitely
do you get
is
the dusty finish to it?
Yeah, but there's definitely a long hug and a second hug. A second pour.
The dragon's breath, as Chris says.
Yeah, and it shows.
Chris almost came tonight and brought Pappy. I'm like,
yeah, why?
We got a lot.
But you know what's funny is I didn't tell him this, but so on my way here, our last time, when it was just going to be me and you after Brett left, I was like, you know what? I pulled up and I parked and I'm like, you know what? Tonight would have been a fucking really good night to have Dude's neighbor over. And I come downstairs and he was here.
That's so funny.
That's so fucking funny.
That's hilarious.
That's
you
so
didn't tell
funny.
me that. No, that's funny.
I literally thought that as I was pulling up.
And I'm too.
I'm like, exactly.
I like having him on.
He's super knowledgeable.
And he's reasonably, like, as far as his taste and his, he's not like crazy nosy, but he has a good nose and he has a good palate. But he's a wheat lover, so like
he's the opposite of me in the sense that he tells good stories.
He pays attention.
He's attentive. He's not on his phone. He gives a shit.
He's like Brett.
Yeah, he's like Brett, but he's got really good stories too.
He did have some good stories. The golf stories he had last week were pretty good, and then some of his aviation stories have been really good as well.
Every episode could be about flying, and me and you would fucking love it.
I ran out
because you did aviation.
I did,
and you flew a lot.
Yeah.
You do fly a lot.
I don't anymore. Well, I fly now, like as a traveler.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like as business. So those conversations are great.
They are, and I ran into him tonight.
Yeah,
that's where he almost came over, and he's like, I got to actually spend some time with my wife, and I'm like, I get it. I'm right there with you. But no, we were talking, and he apologized to me. He goes. I started the conversation like, hey, how did you feel after our night of having 10 drinks? He goes, I was a little hungover. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, yeah, me too, man. That was a rough morning the next day because we recorded 2 episodes back to back. The 1792 and the Maker's Mark we recorded the same night. And
well, and you guys had like 6 makers, and then we had like 5
1792s. So it was like 10 or 11. Plus we had a primer of Rebel.
You guys were here for a while.
We were. And then we went up and killed some donatos. He goes, hey, he's like, I meant to apologize. Was I rambling on the podcast? I was like, no. I said, if you remember, Tyler finished the episode by telling his shit story.
Yes.
And that ends up being the intro, too.
Love it.
So it publishes tomorrow night. I can't wait. But he was all apologetic, and I'm like, no, man. I said, that's the charm of our show.
Yes.
We drink a lot on the show. And when we do, I think that's what gets people to tune in, to be honest, is listening to our stupid shit.
Yes.
Tyler's excited. We've got some wings waiting for us. They've been sitting here for about an hour now.
They're probably just marinated in their heat and sauce.
They've got to be perfect right now. They've got to be perfect right now.
So
perfect temperature, perfect sauciness.
If we have some non-Columbusites, or if we do have some Columbusites listening, I will say that growing up out of the state, especially in the rural town that I did, there was no such thing as good wing places. I mean, we had B-dubs. We had B-dubs.
I don't like B-dubs.
But B-dubs, when they first blossomed as a company, had good wings, or they had stuff. Back in the day. I'm talking like early 2000s.
No. I had B-dubs in like 1990. I don't know. It's 1990 something.
Maybe, yeah.
And they were good.
Yes.
Now they're not. Here's
the thing. I grew up. Every time I had Hooters, like I shit my pants.
Their wings are huge.
I shit my pants,
and their flavors were good.
So
you take away the scantily clad women, and I
never thought Hooters was that great.
No. You mean flavor-wise, or you talk about like the women?
I was too young to really appreciate wings. And they made me like have to shit every single time I had them when I was younger. So I didn't really have a Hooters near me.
And if you're outside of Florida, Hooters is nothing.
Yes.
There's like the women aspect of Hooters is nothing outside of Florida. It's
when
terrible.
I moved down to Columbus, or I had Roosters for the first time. Anytime that someone comes into town, I'm like, we're going to Hooters or we're going to Roosters.
Yeah.
Like, wait till you have these wings.
They have good sauces.
It's your ideal sports bar. Like it's decently well lit.
Do you ever go to Quaker Steak?
Yeah, that's where I would go growing up because the
Quaker Steak was decent.
Yes, that was good too. But I didn't have one in Michigan.
Their sauces.
The only place I ever was around one was over in Youngstown. Yeah. So when we came into town,
close to where they started.
Yes. So
we
went over
Erie,
there.
Pennsylvania, I think is where they started.
Maybe, I don't know. But those were fantastic. But growing up outside of that, I didn't have that.
But here's the thing. For me, wings, sauces make all the difference.
Yes.
Unless, and here's the exception to that, if they're smoked wings, they don't have to have great sauces.
Yes. Or like the Pearls.
Or Nasties.
Fried. Yeah.
Nasties here in town, they smoke their wings all day long.
Yeah.
And their wings are phenomenal. And you don't have to have any sauces on them or anything. But for a good wing, I think the sauces are
so
super
Roosters
important.
Isn't the best wing I've ever had.
No, but they're meaty.
It's meaty. They're not overly breaded.
It's perfect.
Their flavors are good.
Yeah.
They're so consistent with their sauce.
Yep.
Like they don't skimp on that. They don't skimp on the size.
No.
They're so fucking consistent and good
100%.
every single time.
I agree. And that's underrated.
Yes.
It really is.
All right, let's dive into this last one.
So this is a barrel strength. What's the proof on this one? It's 64.95 or 75? 75. 64.75 alcohol, 129.5 proof. That's almost we're touching cotton.
We're
at 130 proof
atmosphere.
almost. We're right at 130 proof almost. So we're touching
Nose, it could be the 9 that we've had. By the way, we've had some pretty
For those of you who don't know what touching
pours.
cotton means, I was trying to reference Tyler shitting himself. Touching cotton means your poop's about to touch the underwear.
Ooh.
That's what that means.
Nice. That's a good
So
reference.
just so you understand.
Also,
when my buddies say I'm touching cotton, that means I got to get them to a bathroom stat. So that means the poop is making an appearance.
The other thing to note is our pores have been very minute.
Yours. I fucked up a few of mine.
Maybe.
Mine have been a little stronger than yours, I feel like.
But these wings
you've done a good job on your pores. I've done a hit and miss job on my pores. So this is the one we're going to taste and then add just a very small splash of water, although you're almost empty already.
Yeah, I only do like 2 sippers.
No, I will say, I didn't mind this. You're like over there choking.
It just went down the wrong pipe. And when
gotcha.
goes down the wrong pipe.
That's so funny. I say pipe as well. Trina says hole. And then I get a little bit of a sexual vibe out of that. Yeah. She goes, it went in the wrong hole. I'm like, no. It's the wrong pipe. You're talking about the wrong hole. You say that in bed. That's not something you say when you're eating.
Yeah.
Nosing wise, we didn't really talk about this. This is almost like a Bananas Foster's on crack. Like if you were to take a Bananas Foster, pour an alcohol on it, and then flambe it or whatever, flambe it. That's what this smells like.
Yeah.
It's like someone who took a Bananas Foster
like you're on a beach vacation
and then poured like
Caribbean.
Sambuca on it and then lit it on fire.
Yeah, at a Sandals.
That's what this is. At a Sandals, exactly. 100%.
Out of these,
I don't mind this. Yeah, this is okay.
I think
out of the last 3,
I think I'm going to take the Bourbon Enthusiast 100 proof.
I mean, that's just the 100 proof.
Yes.
If you ever listen to before she left, Jackie Zykan would always say, 100 proof is where Old Forester shines.
Yeah. The next thing
barrel
I'm going to
strength
go to
they
is
only did just because there was such a call for it with the consumers.
Industry standard of like.
But she
demand.
even said that barrel strength is not where Old Forester shines. It would be the 100 proof.
And I would 100% agree with that.
But here's the thing.
It's my least favorite out of these 3.
I mean, this one, I picked it on purpose. is probably one of my favorite barrel strengths.
Okay.
It's really good. It's not tasting overly hot. I think Banks is having a dream right now. He was all shaky. It's not overly hot, but it finishes long. It's got a good banana note to it, but it's like a banana note with a shit ton of extra alcohol to it.
Yes.
So it does taste a little hot, but it doesn't nose super hot. Mm-hmm. But it's good. I like it. This is probably my favorite of the barrel strengths that I have, and this is also a bourbon enthusiast. But at 130 proof, it's hard to be 130 proof and not taste hot, and this kind of straddles that line. All right, I think we've bored everyone for an hour and 10 minutes at this point. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think we gave our ratings for the initial first 6. The last 3, you said what did you think between the President's Choice and the 100? Which one do you like better?
Old Forester 100.
Okay, so you like the single barrel 100 over the President's Choice, then the President's Choice over the barrel strength.
Yes.
I'd say that's probably my similar. I'm going to say the same thing. I do like the President's Choice. It is good, and it's a little unique from just from the aspect of it being a little bit more wood forward. But it still has that typical Old Forester flavor profile to it. Sure. There's just more wood present. The 100 proof is just everything you love about Old Forester, but just a little amped up, even though it's only 100 proof.
Yeah.
And then the barrel strength is good as well. It's Old Forester, like I said, it's basically a banana split soaked in alcohol, lit on fire. That's what you get.
Yeah.
For this one.
Overall, this night was, it's good drink, and I think you can't go wrong with any of these bottles.
We had 9 drinks in an hour.
Yeah, but they were small.
They were small. But still, we had 9 that we tasted.
It's probably more like we had 4 to 5.
Probably closer to 4, I would say. Yeah. Once you took the amount of alcohol and then some of the proofs, I'd say it's probably closer to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably right. Still, we tasted 9 bourbons tonight.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, next week we had to put off Virgil Came for another week due to travel for work. But we will have Virgil Kane on next week. So thanks for joining in, and we will catch you next week on another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. Thanks a lot.
Boy.
Thank you for joining in for yet another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. If you like what you hear, please leave us a good rating on Apple, Podbean, Google, or wherever you are listening. It definitely helps us to get great guests on our show. And follow us on Instagram and the Facebooks to keep up to date with what is in our glass. As always, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.